The bustling spaceport of Atheron Station gleamed under the twin suns of the Dervan system. Ships of all shapes and sizes moved in a constant dance, from sleek freighters with polished hulls to towering cargo transports that groaned under their own weight. The smell of ozone mixed with the faint scent of exotic spices from the traders' stalls, filling the air with a strange, lively energy. Captain Elias Drake strode across the terminal, his boots clicking against the metallic floor. He was tall, with a presence that made people unconsciously step aside, but there was a lightness in his step today, a sense of curiosity rather than duty. Normally, he was always on alert, scanning for threats, but today felt different. Today, he wasn't just Captain Drake of the Terran fleet, he was Elias, a man with nothing but a day off and an open schedule. He paused near a holographic display of the station's schedule and adjusted the collar of his jacket. His eyes wandered over the arrivals and departures, scanning names and ships with a practiced eye. That's when he saw her. Lyra Vey. Her holographic poster flickered beside a display terminal, and it almost seemed alive. Lyra was an alien performer from the Zarelian sector, famous across dozens of systems for her mesmerizing shows and captivating charisma. She had violet-tinted skin that shimmered under light, eyes like twin amethysts, and a smile that made people forget everything else. But more than her appearance, it was the way she carried herself, confident, playful, and unafraid of anyone or anything, that drew Elias's attention. Interesting, he muttered under his breath, half to himself. A sudden voice interrupted his thoughts. "You're staring." Elias turned sharply and nearly bumped into her. Lyra Vey was standing there, hands on her hips, the kind of grin that could disarm a general. He realized he was openly gawking and quickly straightened, trying to look nonchalant. I just noticed your poster," he said, forcing a casual tone. "Looks like someone's famous." "Famous enough to get attention from strangers?" she teased, her voice melodic, playful. "And who are you, Mr. Stranger?" Elias Drake," he replied. "Captain, Terran Fleet." He figured it was better to mention his credentials than leave her wondering. People tended to listen when you carried a rank, even in crowded spaceports. "Captain, huh?" She tilted her head, eyes sparkling. "That's cute. You look more like someone who enjoys long walks in zero gravity than giving orders." Elias chuckled. "I can do both. Why are you here? Aren't you supposed to be performing somewhere across the system?" Lyra waved a hand nonchalantly. "Tours, appearances. Yes. But even stars need a break. And besides," she added with a teasing smile, "I enjoy observing humans from time to time. You're different." Different. Elias wasn't sure if that was a compliment or a warning, but he decided to take it as a compliment. "Different can be good," he said. "Better than boring, at least." She laughed, a soft, musical sound that made a few nearby travelers glance over. "Boring is the death of curiosity, and I like curious people." They fell into step together, walking toward the central concourse. The spaceport was alive with merchants, travelers, and diplomats from countless worlds, each moving with purpose. Yet, with Lyra beside him, the chaos felt strangely manageable. "So, Captain," she said after a pause, "have you ever met someone famous?" Elias smirked. "Depends on what you mean by famous. I've met politicians, scientists, war heroes. Doesn't really excite me." She leaned closer, lowering her voice conspiratorially. "I meant someone like me." Elias raised an eyebrow. "Ah, someone who can charm an entire galaxy with a smile," she grinned. "Exactly. But I like your honesty, Captain." She stopped walking and looked directly at him. "Want to meet my parents?" Elias blinked, unsure if she was joking. Your parents?" "Sure." "Wait, what?" They're already fans of mine, she said casually, as if discussing the weather. Elias laughed, shaking his head. You're joking. Nope, she replied, still smiling. They've been watching me for a long time. They like to see what I'm up to. And they've heard a lot about humans. He frowned, curiosity piqued. Humans? You mean me? Not just you, she said. You're kind, you're fascinating, clever, reckless sometimes, but brave. Elias felt a strange sense of pride, though he didn't let it show. Brave, huh? That's one word for it. Lyra nudged him playfully. You'll see. But first, let's get to know each other. If I introduce you to my fans, I want them to see the best version of humanity. The walk continued through the vibrant concourse, past vendors selling exotic foods, robotic pets, and hollow gadgets that flickered with colorful light. Elias noticed how people stopped and stared at Lyra as they walked by. Some bowed. Others whispered excitedly. She seemed completely unbothered, moving through the crowd with a natural grace that made him realize she truly was in her element. You know, Elias said after a while, I usually avoid fan interactions. They're exhausting. Lyra laughed softly. I get it. I deal with adoring crowds all the time. But you're different. You don't act like you need me to like you. Maybe I don't, Elias said. Maybe I just enjoy a good mystery. Lyra's grin widened. Good answer. Curiosity suits you. They arrived at a sleek, silver shuttle waiting near one of the docking bays. The ship hummed softly, its surface polished to a mirror-like shine. This is my ride, she said. Fast, nimble, and very discreet. Perfect for special meetings. Elias stepped closer, examining the craft. Special meetings? Like meeting your parents? She nodded. Exactly. You'll see what I mean. But be ready. They're unique. He felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. He had faced dangerous alien species, survived cosmic storms, and negotiated interstellar treaties, but meeting the parents of a famous alien performer was something entirely different. There was an unpredictability in the situation that he found oddly thrilling. As the shuttle lifted off, gliding effortlessly out of the station, the vastness of space unfolded around them. Stars shimmered like diamonds against the deep black canvas, and Elias felt a strange sense of calm despite the unknown ahead. So, he said, settling into his seat, what should I expect? Lyra looked at him with a mischievous sparkle in her eye. Expect to be amazed. Expect to be tested. And expect to learn that humans are more interesting than most aliens realize. Elias chuckled. I like the sound of that, though I have a feeling I'm about to find out just how interesting. The shuttle surged forward, cutting through the void of space. In the distance, a planet glowed with soft violet light, the home world of Lyra Vey and her mysterious galaxy-famous parents. The journey had begun, and Elias knew instinctively that this encounter would change the way he saw humanity and the universe itself. Lyra reclined in her seat, observing him with a quiet satisfaction. You'll do fine, Captain. You already have something my parents will admire. Bravery, curiosity, and that spark humans always carry. Elias smiled, unaware that the adventure ahead would test not only his courage, but humanity's reputation across the stars. Little did he know, by the time he met Lyra's parents, he would witness firsthand why humans were considered extraordinary in ways even the galaxy hadn't yet imagined. The shuttle continued its silent journey, stars streaking past, carrying two unlikely companions toward a meeting that promised excitement, challenges, and perhaps the beginning of an unforgettable story. The shuttle hummed softly as it descended through the violet clouds of Lyra's home planet, Seraphis. Elias Drake pressed his hand to the glass viewport, watching the alien landscape unfold beneath him. Towering crystal spires shimmered in the soft light, their surfaces reflecting the twin suns in dazzling patterns. Vast fields of glowing flora stretched across the horizon, swaying as if moved by a gentle, invisible wind. "This is incredible," Elias murmured, unable to tear his eyes away. "I've never seen anything like it." Lyra's grin widened. "It gets better. Wait until you meet my parents." Elias glanced at her, curiosity mingled with apprehension. "Are they famous too?" "Famous? Not exactly," Lyra said with a teasing tone. "They're respected, powerful, observers of life across many systems, and they're very interested in humans." "Humans?" Elias asked, raising an eyebrow. "You mean me?" "Yes, you and your kind," she replied. "I've been showing them the best parts of humanity for a long time. Your species has something rare, something other civilizations often overlook." Elias leaned back in his seat, trying to process her words. He had faced aliens who underestimated humans, some hostile, some curious. But the idea of being personally observed by an interstellar council fascinated him. The shuttle landed smoothly on a floating platform high above the surface of the planet. The doors opened with a soft hiss, revealing a courtyard filled with light and shadows, where crystalline structures glowed faintly, illuminating the pathway. Elias stepped out, feeling the slight vibration of the planet underfoot, the air tingling with an unfamiliar energy. "Follow me," Lyra said, gliding ahead. She moved with such confidence that Elias felt both awed and slightly out of place. As they walked through the courtyard, Elias noticed subtle movements in the shadows, figures observing them. They were humanoid, yet distinctly alien. Their skin shimmered in subtle patterns, and their eyes glowed faintly, reflecting curiosity and intelligence. Each movement was deliberate, graceful, and calm. "These must be your parents' associates?" Elias asked. Lyra chuckled softly. "You could say that. They're part of a council that watches over multiple worlds, ensuring balance, understanding, and sometimes inspiration. They like to study beings who can surprise them." Elias's curiosity grew. "And humans? Surprise them?" "More than they expect," Lyra said. "You adapt, you persevere, you take risks, and sometimes you do things no one else would think of. That's why they're interested in you." A soft, melodic voice called out from the courtyard ahead. "Lyra." They turned to see two figures stepping into view. The first was tall and elegant, with silver-tinted skin that shimmered like polished metal, and eyes that seemed to contain the depth of 1,000 stars. The second was slightly shorter, with golden-hued skin that glowed faintly and a calm, commanding presence. Both exuded a quiet power that made Elias straighten instinctively. "Elias Drake," Lyra said, introducing him with a smile. "Meet my parents." The taller figure extended a hand. "Welcome, Captain Drake. I am Veyron." The golden figure bowed slightly. "And I am Seralia. It is an honor to meet someone representing humanity." Elias hesitated for a moment before shaking their hands. Their grip was firm yet gentle, conveying strength without intimidation. "The honor is mine," he said, careful to keep his voice steady. Veyron's eyes studied him thoughtfully. "Lyra has told us much about humans. Your kind is unusual, brave, curious, and unpredictable. We wanted to see these qualities firsthand." Seralia smiled. "We hear that humans often find solutions where others see only obstacles. That creativity and determination define your species." Elias felt a mixture of pride and pressure. It was one thing to fight in battles or navigate diplomatic challenges, but standing before beings who had observed countless civilizations was something else entirely. I'll do my best," he said, trying to sound confident. Lyra nudged him gently. "You don't need to prove anything. Just be yourself. That's what makes humans fascinating. They walked deeper into the courtyard, where a circular chamber opened up, glowing softly with crystalline lights. Inside, more figures waited, seated in semicircular rows. Some had multiple limbs, others had wings that glimmered in the ambient light. Despite their differences, their attention focused entirely on Elias. "Welcome, Captain," Varen said. "You will join us in observing and sharing experiences. Today, we wish to learn about human ingenuity and resilience." Elias took a deep breath. I'm not sure where to start." Soralia's voice was gentle. "Start with a story. Tell us about a challenge you have faced and how you overcame it." Elias's mind immediately went to his fleet missions, the time his team navigated a collapsing star field, the daring rescue of a stranded colony under pirate attack, the countless negotiations with species that saw humans as insignificant. He chose one that highlighted both courage and creativity. He described a mission where his crew had to retrieve critical supplies from a planet on the brink of ecological collapse. Alien storms and unstable terrain had made the task nearly impossible. He spoke of the strategies he devised, the teamwork required, and the moments of risk that tested every instinct. As he spoke, he noticed the council members leaning forward, their eyes reflecting interest rather than judgment. Lyra stood beside him, a proud smile on her face. When he finished, Varen nodded thoughtfully. "Humans do not merely survive, you adapt. You think in ways that are unexpected." Soralia added, "Your solutions demonstrate creativity and courage, but also compassion. You consider not only success, but the well-being of others. This is rare in the galaxy." Elias felt a warmth spread through him. For all the battles and diplomacy he had faced, this recognition, this understanding, was different. It was not fear or respect for his rank, but acknowledgement of humanity itself. Lyra leaned close and whispered, "See? I told you. You're more than they expected." They spent the next hours in discussions, observations, and demonstrations. The council presented challenges designed to test ingenuity, navigating shifting mazes that altered themselves in real time, solving complex energy puzzles, and handling simulations of interstellar disasters. Each scenario pushed Elias to think creatively, to act decisively, and to rely on instincts honed through years of human experience. With every task, he noticed subtle reactions from the council: curiosity, surprise, admiration. Humans did not always take the obvious path. They improvised, they collaborated, they risked failure to achieve something greater. And in doing so, they impressed even the most advanced minds present. Lyra watched him quietly from the side, her eyes reflecting pride and amusement. "They're fascinated," she whispered. "You've already exceeded their expectations. Humans are extraordinary." By the end of the day, Elias was exhausted but exhilarated. He had not only faced challenges, but had done so with ingenuity and courage. He had demonstrated why humans were more than just another species in the galaxy. They were survivors, creators, and problem solvers in a way that few could comprehend. Varen approached him as the chamber emptied. "Captain Drake, your performance today has shown why humans are worthy of attention. Your adaptability, courage, and ingenuity, these are qualities we will continue to study and value." Soralia added, "And you have reminded us that even amidst countless civilizations, there is much to admire in a species that is still young in the cosmic timeline. Your presence here is enlightening." Elias nodded, humbled and honored. "Thank you. I didn't expect this, but I'm glad I could show what humans are capable of." Lyra took his hand and squeezed it gently. "And you did. You've made a mark here today, Captain, not just on them, but on the idea of what humans can achieve. They're watching closely, and so am I. As the twin suns set behind the crystalline spires, casting a soft glow over the chamber, Elias felt a new sense of purpose. This was more than recognition. It was a reminder that humanity, despite its flaws, could inspire and impress even the most advanced civilizations. For the first time in his life, Elias truly understood what Lyra meant when she said her parents and their council were already fans of humanity. And perhaps, he thought with a small smile, that meant he was one too. The day ended with quiet celebration. Elias, Lyra, and the council shared stories, laughter, and a sense of mutual respect. The adventure had just begun, but Elias knew that whatever came next, humanity had already proven itself in the eyes of the galaxy. The morning sun of Seriphus rose slowly, casting violet and gold streaks across the crystalline spires. The light bounced off the reflective surfaces, scattering colors like 1,000 tiny rainbows across the courtyard. Elias Drake stood at the edge of the observation platform, watching the spectacle in awe. He had spent the previous day meeting Lyra's parents and the council, sharing stories and experiencing the remarkable culture of this alien world. Yet, as beautiful as the planet was, he knew the real challenge lay ahead. Lyra appeared beside him, her violet-tinted skin glowing softly in the morning light. "Ready for today?" she asked, her grin teasing yet full of excitement. Elias raised an eyebrow. "I assume today involves some kind of trial?" "Exactly," she said. "The council wants to test human creativity and courage. Don't worry, they won't harm you, at least not in a way that matters." Elias chuckled. Comforting. The council had prepared a series of trials that would stretch human limits in ways Elias had never imagined. They weren't about strength alone or speed. They tested ingenuity, strategy, collaboration, and quick thinking. Lyra explained that the council believed humans excelled in unpredictable situations because of their adaptability. Today would prove whether that belief was correct. The first trial was a maze-like simulation. Elias and his crew were led into a vast chamber, the floor and walls covered with shifting patterns of light. The space seemed endless, filled with multiple pathways, floating platforms, and invisible barriers. The council's voice echoed through the chamber. "Navigate the maze," Varen instructed. "Find the central crystal and activate it. You have 1 hour. Your success will be measured not only by speed, but by the ingenuity of your approach." Elias studied the shifting paths. The patterns constantly changed, and sensors monitored every movement. A wrong step could activate traps or redirect them further from the goal. He knew rushing in without strategy would be fatal to their score. "Listen up," he said to his crew. "We need to think like humans. Observe, adapt, and improvise. We'll split into 2 teams. One will analyze the patterns. The other will move forward cautiously. Communicate constantly." The team nodded, trusting Elias's leadership. They moved carefully, testing pathways and marking safe routes with small energy beacons. Each step required observation and quick decision-making, and soon the maze responded with new challenges. Platforms that disappeared when stepped on, energy barriers that required synchronized timing to pass. Elias watched as his crew adapted instantly. They solved problems creatively, sometimes combining tools in ways the council might not have anticipated. When they finally reached the central crystal, Elias activated it with a sense of triumph. The walls of the chamber shimmered and shifted, revealing the exit. Varen's voice echoed through the chamber. "Excellent. Your approach demonstrates strategy, observation, and cooperation. Humans do not rely solely on strength. They think, and that thinking is unpredictable, yet effective." Elias exhaled, feeling a mix of relief and pride. "That's 1 down," he muttered. Lyra clapped softly from the observation deck. The second trial was entirely different, a test of diplomacy. They were brought to a simulated diplomatic forum, where representatives from fictional alien species presented complex problems. Some disputes were territorial, others cultural, and a few purely scientific. The council wanted to see how humans would negotiate solutions when emotions ran high and stakes were imaginary yet believable. Elias and his crew observed as alien avatars argued passionately. He realized quickly that the key wasn't to impose human logic blindly, but to understand perspectives, find common ground, and craft creative compromises. One avatar, a six-limbed negotiator, demanded access to rare minerals on a disputed planet. Another argued the territory belonged to a peaceful colony. Elias proposed a solution. Using technology to safely extract minerals without harming the colony, while giving both parties a stake in governance and profits. The avatars nodded, some hesitated, but ultimately agreed to his proposal. Soralia's voice rang out in the chamber. Impressive. Humans balance logic, creativity, and empathy. You understand not just what is possible, but what is fair. This is a trait rare in advanced civilizations. Elias smiled at his crew. See, we're doing more than surviving. We're thinking ahead. That's what humans do best. The third trial tested endurance and courage. The council simulated a rogue asteroid field heading toward a populated planet. Elias and his crew were given control of virtual ships with limited resources and tasked with redirecting the asteroid safely. The simulation was fast-paced, chaotic, and relentless. Remember, Elias said to his team, we can't destroy them all. We need to prioritize, coordinate, and improvise. Don't panic. Ships whirred and lasers shot across the holographic field. The team analyzed trajectories, calculated force adjustments, and coordinated their movements. Some crew members took risky maneuvers to save distant settlements, while others created innovative solutions to redirect multiple asteroids simultaneously. Lyra watched from the side, impressed. They adapt faster than I expected, she whispered. When the simulation ended, Varen and Soralia approached. Your human crew demonstrated not only bravery but ingenuity under pressure, Soralia said. You saved lives using strategy, creativity, and courage. These qualities are remarkable and rare in the galaxy. Elias felt a surge of pride. Humans weren't the most advanced species, nor the strongest, but their ability to adapt and improvise made them extraordinary. It's not just us, he said quietly. It's every human who faces the unknown and keeps going. The final trial was perhaps the most personal. The council presented ethical dilemmas, scenarios where decisions could save or risk lives, and where every choice carried consequences. Elias realized that this was not about technology, strength, or even creativity. It was about values, empathy, and judgment. One scenario presented a colony infected with a mysterious disease and a cure that could only save half the population immediately, with the rest possibly perishing before another solution could be found. Elias discussed with his team, weighing the options carefully. They chose to distribute the cure strategically, while simultaneously organizing a plan to save the remaining colonists using resourcefulness and coordination. The council observed quietly, noting every decision, every thought process. When Elias explained the reasoning, Varen's expression softened. Humans do not make choices lightly. You weigh consequences, not only for yourself but for others. That is admirable. Soralia added, it is this combination of courage, creativity, and compassion that makes humans extraordinary. You think beyond survival. You think about life, connection, and possibility. Lyra joined him afterward, her eyes sparkling. See? I told you humans would impress them. You've shown courage, wisdom, and heart. You're exactly what they were hoping to see. Elias laughed softly. I hope the real galaxy thinks so too, because out there we don't always get second chances. Lyra placed a hand on his shoulder. And that's why your species is special. You survive against impossible odds, not because of power alone, but because of your mind and spirit. That's something the galaxy can't replicate. By the end of the trials, Elias and his crew were physically exhausted, but mentally exhilarated. They had demonstrated humanity's strength in ways that went beyond combat or technology. Humans could think, adapt, negotiate, and care, all at the same time. They were unpredictable, inventive, and resilient. The council gathered to speak with Elias privately. "Captain Drake," Varen began, "your species has qualities that inspire, even across worlds. You have shown bravery, ingenuity, and empathy. You are an example of what humans can achieve when challenged." Seralia nodded. "We have observed many civilizations, and few have impressed us as much as yours. The unpredictability and creativity of humans, combined with courage and heart, make you a remarkable species." Elias felt a deep sense of pride. "Thank you. I never thought humans would be recognized like this. We've always been underestimated." Lyra smiled warmly. "And that's exactly why I admire humans. You never stop surprising, never stop growing. Even when others doubt you, you prove them wrong." The council dismissed them with respect, and Elias walked through the courtyard feeling a sense of accomplishment he had never known. He looked at Lyra and said, "I think I understand now. You weren't just showing me off. You were showing the galaxy what humans are capable of." Lyra laughed softly. "Exactly. And you did it beautifully." As the sun set behind the crystalline spires, Elias knew that humanity's reputation had grown today, not through warships or diplomacy alone, but through courage, creativity, and heart. This was a legacy worth defending, a story worth telling, and a lesson that would stay with him forever. Elias looked up at the stars emerging in the violet sky. The trials had tested him, challenged him, and inspired him. He realized that humanity was more than he had ever believed, and that the galaxy was beginning to notice. For the first time in his life, he felt the weight and the pride of representing an entire species, not just as a soldier or captain, but as a human capable of astonishing things. Lyra stood beside him, her eyes reflecting the stars above. "Tomorrow," she said, "we see how humans respond to the unexpected. The best is yet to come." Elias smiled, ready for whatever the council had in store. He had faced trials of body, mind, and spirit, and he knew one thing for certain: humans could rise to any challenge, no matter how impossible it seemed. The following morning on Seraphis, the twin suns bathed the crystalline city in soft violet light. The air shimmered with a subtle energy that made even the smallest movements feel alive. Captain Elias Drake stretched his arms, feeling the unfamiliar gravity of the planet beneath his feet. The previous day's trials had tested his mind, courage, and leadership, and he still felt the thrill of accomplishment. Yet today promised something different. Not tests, but lessons in understanding, cooperation, and the real meaning of human strength. Lyra appeared radiant as ever and motioned for him to follow. "Today isn't about tests," she said. "It's about showing you why humans are, well, extraordinary." Elias raised an eyebrow. "So, we're going sightseeing?" She laughed, a musical sound that made him smile. "Something like that. But it's more than sightseeing. It's learning from each other." They walked through the courtyard, past crystalline spires that pulsed with soft light. Figures from the council watched from a distance, nodding in acknowledgement as Elias passed. Unlike the trials, there was no tension in the air, only curiosity and respect. "You know," Elias said as they walked, "I've been thinking. Yesterday was amazing, but I realized something. It wasn't just the challenges that impressed the council. It was us as humans." Lyra's eyes sparkled. "Exactly. They don't just look at what you can do. They look at how you think, how you care, and how you adapt. That's why humans are so fascinating. They entered a large chamber with walls made of shimmering crystal. Inside, a long table had been prepared, covered with holographic projections of stars, planets, and various civilizations. Varen and Soralia stood at the head, smiling as Elias and his crew took their seats. "Welcome," Varen began. "Yesterday, you demonstrated courage, creativity, and wisdom. Today, we wish to explore collaboration, how humans interact not only with their kind, but with others across the galaxy." Soralia gestured toward the holograms. "These are real scenarios, Captain Drake. Conflicts, natural disasters, and diplomatic challenges. Your team will work with our advisors to find solutions. We wish to see humans in action, together, with allies from other civilizations." Elias nodded. "Understood. Let's get started." The first scenario appeared above the table, a system of planets in crisis. One planet faced a devastating storm, another had a failing star threatening its colonies, and a third was caught in a political dispute with neighboring systems. The simulation required careful coordination to save lives, stabilize governments, and ensure resources reached those in need. Elias turned to his crew. "Divide tasks. We need someone monitoring resources, someone communicating with alien advisors, and someone coordinating logistics. Use your strengths and trust each other." The crew moved quickly, analyzing data and proposing solutions. Elias noticed how humans and aliens approached problems differently. Some aliens relied solely on calculated probabilities, while humans suggested creative alternatives, combining observation, intuition, and empathy. "Captain," one advisor said, "your species' approach is unconventional, yet effective." Elias smiled. "That's humans for you. We think outside the expected." Hours passed as they coordinated rescue missions, negotiated agreements, and implemented emergency solutions. Each success strengthened the bond between humans and council members. By the end, the simulation had been resolved efficiently, and lives were saved. Varen nodded in approval. "Humans inspire cooperation. Your ability to adapt, communicate, and act with empathy creates trust, even among those who are not your species." Soralia added, "It is this combination of intellect and heart that makes humans leaders among civilizations. You do not merely survive, you elevate those around you." Elias felt a swell of pride. "It's not just me," he said. "It's every human who collaborates, who cares, who works together to make the impossible possible." Lyra smiled at him. "And that's why I admire humans so much. You don't need power alone. You inspire change through courage, creativity, and cooperation. That's rare in the galaxy." After the simulations, the council invited Elias and his crew to explore the cultural side of Seraphis. They visited schools, research centers, and innovation hubs where humans and aliens exchanged knowledge. Elias was struck by the curiosity and open-mindedness of the citizens. Humans were encouraged to experiment, ask questions, and share ideas freely, a principle the council called human ingenuity. At one innovation center, Elias watched as a human engineer worked alongside an alien scientist. Together, they solved a problem that neither could have tackled alone. The solution combined human creativity with alien technology, producing results beyond what either species had imagined. "This is amazing," Elias said. "They're learning from each other, improving together." Lyra nodded. "That's the essence of humans. We inspire collaboration, not competition. We share knowledge, we adapt, and we create opportunities for growth." Later, as the sun set, Elias and Lyra walked along a crystal bridge that overlooked the city. The sky glowed with violet and gold streaks, and distant stars began to twinkle. Elias reflected on the day. "You know," he said, I never realized how much humans could influence others just by being human. Our creativity, courage, empathy, it matters, even to species far more advanced than us. Lyra smiled softly. It matters because you don't just rely on power or technology. You rely on something deeper, the human spirit. That's what makes your species extraordinary. Elias looked at her, realizing the truth in her words. The trials had tested his mind, courage, and judgment, but today had shown him the impact of humanity itself. It wasn't just about survival, it was about connection, inspiration, and influence. As night fell, the council called them to a final gathering. The chamber was filled with soft light, and the alien members watched as Elias stepped forward. "Captain Drake," Varen said, "you have shown us what humans are capable of: bravery, creativity, empathy, and collaboration. But there is more. You have strengthened bonds between species and reminded us of the power of cooperation. That is the true measure of leadership." Saralia added, "And you have reminded us that humanity's strength lies not only in what it can achieve, but in how it inspires others. This is a gift rare in the galaxy. You honor your species by representing it so well." Elias felt a warmth in his chest. For all the battles, negotiations, and crises he had faced, this recognition felt different, pure, and genuine. He realized that humans were not only capable of remarkable achievements, but also of inspiring trust and respect across the stars. Lyra stepped beside him, her smile bright and proud. "You've done more than impress them, Elias. You've shown them that humans are worth noticing, worth learning from, and worth respecting. And that's why I've always been a fan of your species." Elias laughed softly, feeling a sense of camaraderie and pride he had never experienced before. "I guess that makes me a fan too," he said, glancing at the council members. "Not just of humans, but of what they can achieve when given the chance." The council nodded in acknowledgement. "Remember this, Captain," Varen said. "Your species has potential that is only beginning to be realized. Continue to rise to challenges, and the galaxy will continue to take notice." As the night deepened, Elias and his crew retired to their quarters, reflecting on the day's experiences. They had learned more than they could have imagined, not just about alien civilizations, but about themselves and the value of humanity. Courage, ingenuity, collaboration, and empathy were not just ideals. They were the defining traits of a species capable of inspiring the galaxy. Lyra joined him later, standing at the balcony and gazing at the stars. "Tomorrow," she said softly, "you'll face challenges that will test everything you've learned, but I know you'll succeed. Humans always find a way." Elias nodded, looking out at the stars with renewed determination. "We always do," he said, and in that moment, he felt the true weight and pride of representing humanity, not just as a captain, but as a symbol of what his species could achieve. The night was quiet, but full of promise. For Elias Drake, the journey had shifted from tests of skill to understanding the true power of humanity. And as he watched the stars twinkle above Seraphis, he knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, humans would face them with courage, creativity, and heart. The final dawn on Seraphis rose with a strange quiet. The twin suns cast gentle blue light over the city, but something felt different. Captain Elias Drake sensed it the moment he opened his eyes. The usual peaceful hum of the crystalline structures seemed heavier, almost tense. When he stepped out of his quarters, Lyra was already waiting for him. Her usual calm expression had been replaced by concern. "Elias," she said softly, "the council needs you. Something has happened." Elias nodded, his instincts sharpening. "Let's go." They moved quickly through the corridors until they reached the central council chamber. The room was filled not just with the council members, but with dozens of Seraphian citizens, scientists, and guards. A large hologram hovered at the center of the room, displaying a distant star system engulfed in a spreading dark cloud. Varen stepped forward. "Captain Drake, your timing could not be more crucial." Elias studied the hologram. "What is that?" Seralia answered. "An energy anomaly. It destroys everything it touches, stars, planets, even space itself. We have seen smaller versions before, but never something of this scale." Lyra added quietly, "It is moving toward our system, and Earth's region is in its path." Elias felt his heart drop. "Earth?" "Yes," Varen said. "Your homeworld is one of many that will be at risk if we fail to stop this." The room fell silent. The Council had witnessed human ingenuity for days, but now humanity itself was threatened. Not by war, not by conflict, but by a cosmic force that cared for nothing. Elias straightened. "What's the plan?" The hologram shifted to reveal complex energy readings, swirling unstable waves, and gravitational distortions. "We need to stabilize the anomaly before it reaches populated sectors," Seralia said. "But our technology alone is not enough. We require a mind that can think differently, a perspective that sees possibilities we do not." Lyra stepped closer. "Elias, they mean you." The weight of those words settled on him. But he didn't step back. "All right, what do we need to do?" The plan was simple in words, but overwhelming in scale. A massive device, the harmonic stabilizer, would be deployed near the anomaly to slow and neutralize its destructive force. However, the device needed to be calibrated manually. The calculations required instinct, creativity, and intuition, traits the Council believed humans possessed more naturally than any other species. Teams of scientists worked together, both human and Seraphian. The chamber buzzed with activity as diagrams filled the holographic screens. Elias listened carefully, learning as much as he could. His crew stood beside him, offering support as they adapted to the alien technology. "Captain," Lyra said softly, "we can guide you, but the final decisions during deployment will be yours. You understand the unpredictable better than anyone." Elias nodded. "Then let's get this right." Within hours, they stood inside a launch bay overlooking space. The harmonic stabilizer, a massive crystalline machine, glowed with blue energy. It was shaped like an enormous sphere with rotating rings that emitted soft, pulsing light. Elias and his crew boarded a Seraphian starcraft that had been modified for human operation. The Seraphian engineers had added simple controls, blending their advanced systems with human-friendly interfaces. Varen's voice echoed through the comms. "Captain Drake, the future of many worlds depends on this mission. Trust your strengths. Trust your humanity." "And trust each other," Seralia added. Elias gave a firm nod. "We won't fail." The ship launched into the void, leaving the radiant world of Seraphis behind. As they approached the distant anomaly, the stars dimmed. The dark cloud loomed ahead, swirling like a massive storm of shadow and energy. Even the Seraphian crew members trembled at the sight. Elias remained calm. "Everyone stay focused. We stick to the plan." The anomaly pulsed, sending ripples through space. The ship trembled, and warning lights flashed. Lyra's voice came through the console. "You're close enough. Begin deploying the stabilizer." Elias pressed the control, releasing the device into space. The machine unfolded like a blooming flower, its rings spinning faster as beams of harmonic energy projected into the storm. But the anomaly reacted violently. Waves of dark energy surged outward, striking the stabilizer and shaking the ship. "Captain, the device is destabilizing," one of his crew shouted. "We need new calibration," another cried. Elias narrowed his eyes. "Give me readings from the core. I'll recalibrate manually." The Seraphian technicians back on Seraphis gasped. "Impossible! No one can calculate those values in real time." but Lyra smiled softly. A human can. Elias began adjusting the harmonic frequencies. He didn't rely only on math. He watched patterns, felt the rhythm of the energy motions, and trusted his instincts. "Shift the blue harmonic channel to 52%, he said. "Then pull the stabilizing ring inward 2 degrees. The crew obeyed. The stabilizer glowed brighter. The anomaly stopped expanding. Encouraged, Elias continued, but a sudden jolt shook the ship. "The anomaly is releasing a surge," someone warned. The stabilizer struggled to hold its position. Elias took a deep breath. "We're going to stabilize it. Stay with me. Humans don't back down from impossible odds." His voice steadied the crew. Working together, they rebalanced the harmonics, countering each surge with a wave of controlled energy. Human intuition met Seraphian technology, and the two blended into something new, something powerful. Slowly, the dark cloud began to shrink. Lyra's voice reached them again. "Elias, you're doing it. The readings are improving." Elias allowed himself a small smile. "Not me. All of us." As the final surge came, Elias made one last call. "Increase harmonic output to maximum. Trust me." The crew complied. A brilliant wave of blue light erupted from the stabilizer, sweeping through the anomaly like a cleansing tide. The dark cloud trembled, then began to dissolve, fragment by fragment, until it vanished into nothingness. Silence filled the ship. Then the sensors flashed green. "The anomaly has been neutralized," the computer reported. "All systems stable." Cheers erupted through the ship. The crew hugged each other, relieved and thrilled. Elias felt warmth fill his chest. Humanity had not just survived, they had proved their worth once again. When Elias and his team returned to Seraphis, the entire council awaited them. Citizens filled the courtyard, cheering as the heroes stepped onto the platform. Crystalline banners shimmered above, displaying symbols of unity between humans and Seraphians. Veyran stepped forward, voice strong and proud. "Captain Elias Drake, you have shown the galaxy the true power of humanity. Not through force, but through courage, cooperation, and creativity." Seralia continued. "Your people may be young in the galactic stage, but today you proved you have a future among the greatest civilizations." Lyra smiled warmly. "And you showed them why I said my parents were fans of humans long before they met you." Elias laughed softly at that. "I'm glad I didn't disappoint." Lyra stepped closer and lowered her voice. "Not once. The council granted Elias and his crew the Unity emblem, a symbol of respect given only to those who brought harmony between species. As Elias looked around, humans cheering beside Seraphians, scientists discussing new ideas, and civilizations forming bonds, he felt something deep and meaningful. Humans weren't just visitors anymore. They were allies, partners, a rising force in the galaxy. That night, as Elias watched the stars from the crystal balcony, Lyra joined him. "You changed more than you know," she said softly. "You reminded us that greatness is not measured by power, but by heart." Elias looked toward the sky where the anomaly had once threatened countless worlds. "Humans are far from perfect," he said, "but we try, and we keep trying." Lyra smiled. "And that is what makes your species extraordinary." Side by side, they watched the stars. The trials were over. Humanity had proven itself, and their journey among the stars had only just begun.